Meep, meep. Hello, Internet. It's me again. A stupid monkey. Uh, just the trusty ape. People can text me off the hook now. Um, so, the plot thickens. So do I. Um, I weighed in on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday morning? Yeah, yesterday. Weighed in at 151 pounds, solid at my doctor's office. No shoes, no jacket. So that means I have consistently maintained a weight of 150 pounds for about the past month, which is progress for me. Something I've been trying to do for a while, and baby steps. The little signs of progress. I will spend the next several days editing some of my previous live streams. Editing live streams. I know a couple of the streams seem to have disappeared. Don't worry, they just need to be edited and then they will reappear and everything will be fine. And in the interim, maybe we can rewatch some more of those old early podcasts on the Trusty 8 podcast as new premieres. That seemed to be fun last time we did it. And I know we've gained a lot of subscribers since then who maybe haven't seen the older episodes. They haven't gone back and looked at those originals, and we can just re-air them. And that's another way we can have fun over here and not snipe other people's content. I hear I'm being, casually. No, it's not me. They're not directing it at me, but I hear people speaking casually about stream sniping and how they don't really, I'm kind of indifferent to stream sniping as long as you know who the streamer is for the most part. You're like, hey, I can just recommend you to this other guy's channel and you can go check this thing out, but I'm checking it out and it's on my YouTube channel and we're just kind of trading information stuff here. But people have different feelings about that, and so I need to decide how I feel about that and all that good stuff. There's a lot of things we just can't know, right? Until we know, we don't know, and then we kind of might presume we know. We might start making assumptions. We might make the wrong assumptions. We might do things hastily, using poor judgment, and thinking the outcome will be a certain thing. And you do, in some ways, get that outcome, but the outcome is actually a wholly different thing than the thing you imagined. And then you kind of have to readjust yourself for that. And that's what's happened here recently. Um, the nature of the thing was much grander than we ever could have imagined. And we're just one little pepperoni on this universe. I'm just a sliver of cheese on this universal pizza. And it's still in the oven. I don't expect anybody to come by, nor do I have a whole lot of friggin' time to do this thing today. I'm coming on impromptu, trying to decide the best recourse at this point, or non-recourse, other than just merely editing the videos, because I can do that, but a whole shit ton of new stuff to worry about. This isn't really so much a show as a video diary, I guess, or something. I don't know. Trying to make sense and explain these things and document them as they happen. Is the music distracting? See, sometimes I wonder. I don't know if it's more distracting to have the music or the silence. I don't know. Enjoy the silence. If anybody wants to come talk for a few minutes, I can provide links, but I don't necessarily have to. So I did a thing here on the podcast that got noticed, and had far uh, reaching results. And now I have to see what happens with all of that. But your boy here got on primetime local news for a few seconds, just a few seconds. I don't know about the circumstances surrounding all of that, but mm, yeah, I was on a NBC affiliated network, and yeah, NBC, come at me, bro. You can interview me. We can talk about it. How should I proceed with this? Okay, yeah, there's a lot packed in there, and I can't really responsibly speak in detail about it here at this point because that's part of the problem. It's part of the problem. Maybe I could have gone to the news myself, and things could have gone a whole lot differently. I don't know. That's like a weird concept. I didn't ever, I never expected this information to be released to the news media, but such is the way of the internet. If you build it, they will come. If you put it out on the internet, they're probably going to get it somehow. So so there's that. I applied finally to be a transit driver yesterday. I'm thinking if they're as I uh, am informed they are as badly in need of drivers as they are, as I'm told they are, right? Then it would just make sense for them to hire another local part-time driver who happens to work at the transit center in affiliation with, you know. Anyway, so it would make sense for me to drive that bus. And it might be another step in my own personal progress, professional progress, and we see where that goes. I maintain the career I'm in, catch a couple shifts, hop a couple buses, win-win for everybody. Or at the end of this story, I get my just desserts and the ceiling comes crashing down. But we don't know. Until we know, we can't sit here and make assumptions and panic. That wouldn't be logical. Wouldn't make any sense. But I feel like it's better to have a problem that might have a solution than to have a bunch of problems that have absolutely no solutions and are completely absurd. I don't know. I'm trying to weigh the dynamics of that out as I check my mental health, stay in touch with my doctor, get reintegrated into my medication. Um, yeah, there's a lot of shit I'm probably just too stupid to understand, right? Or maybe I just haven't acquired the necessary skills yet. As long as I keep doing this, somehow I'll manage to learn or I'll frickin' perish. So those are the thoughts for today. We'll post more thoughts at Stupid Monkey Philosophy soon and try to resume regularly scheduled programming to the best of our abilities here at the Trusty Ape channel, where we sometimes do the Trusty Ape podcast and other things. And if you like the name change or you understand the name change or you're like, why did you drop the word podcast? I don't know. Leave it in the comments because I was like, yeah, it's not always a podcast. Sometimes it's a podcast. Sometimes it's just me talking. I don't know. I could just put it in the title and then, simplify things, complicate things. What am I doing in my head right now? Doesn't matter. Thank you to 144 subscribers and many guests whom I know and love. And be well, be kind, stay trusty. Try not to worry too much about things that you do not yet understand.
about me. I think in all fairness, I should explain to you exactly what it is that I do. For instance, tomorrow morning I'll get up nice and early, take a walk down over to the bank, walk in and see, and if you don't have my money for me, I'll crack your fucking head wide open in front of everybody in the bank. And just about the time that I'm coming out of jail, hopefully, you'll be coming out of your coma. And guess what? I'll split your fucking head open again.
Alright. It's time to come for full fucking circle on this thing. It's occurred to me some people out there may have mistaken my kindness for weakness. Maybe mistaken my authenticity, my attempts to be genuine, compassionate, kind, values that I try to adhere to. These things aren't valued in online spaces. People, in their nature, are cruel and unusual. If they spot a weakness, they're gonna pick on it, right? So I've tried this whole thing. Coming out with an open mind. Try to meet people where they're at. Just pretend that I'm stupid, right? Come into a conversation assuming that I know next to nothing, which is bullshit. Now let's be perfectly clear about what's going on here. In my time as a streamer, I've tried to be as transparent as possible. Maybe even to an irrational extent. I've exposed myself, I've put myself at risk, put my information out. Try to let people see the real me, something behind the character, something behind the persona. Because at the end of the day, there's a human being behind every fucking soundbite, every avatar. Some human living amongst you in the world. But make no mistake, we are engaged in combat. You and I. If we are not aligned, then you are my adversary. Let's just be realistic about that. So what did happen? Last year, I came to a crossroads in life in everything that I've been doing. And I had to be upfront about it. I just say, hey, I'm not alright. You know what happened? I was experiencing a mental health crisis. I'm trying to come to terms with and learn to deal with problematic and unhealthy behaviors that I am engaged in. And being upfront and honest with people about that. What did not happen? What never happened? Well, I didn't have some kind of traumatic brain injury, right? That didn't happen. I never had a come to Jesus moment. That didn't happen. None of this has or is happening. In my attempts to be charitable, I have been mistaken for an ignorant fool. In acknowledging where I actually lack knowledge in certain areas and am making an honest attempt to learn more, it seems to be that people assume that I am malleable enough to be manipulated in this space. And so I just want to make it perfectly clear. That's not what's going on here. So hence, Trusty Ape recording this backstage, free of chatter, free of crosstalk, so that I might express myself in such a way as to say, if you honestly thought at any point in time that I become so weak that talking heads on the internet would just breach into my mind, penetrate into the soul of Ape Man, as if nothing I had said in the past meant anything to you. Maybe you came in late in the game, you don't know what I've been talking about here, right? I'm trying my damnedest. But there's a meta message here. I want to be mature. I want to be logical. Try to make a sound, reasoned argument. But the meta message behind all this is, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. If you think for 1 second that you can manipulate me, via my own search for knowledge, my own attempt at understanding, you're a fucking joke. Somebody had privately messaged me, speaking of the trolls in my channel. I didn't see it that way. I thought I was kind of fortunate to be, fairly free of trollish activity around this channel. That's not the case. You know why? Because trolls come in all shapes and sizes and forms. You can't always recognize a troll for a troll. You don't know what you're looking for. Because the truth about people in general, people in online spheres, well, people, they will say things to your face and do another thing, say another thing behind your back when they think you're not looking, you're not listening. And I see you. I see what you are. And I've dealt with your kind before. I tried to proceed as if maybe there was something I was missing. There was something missing. But it wasn't knowledge, it wasn't understanding. No. I do lack in those things. We can always stand to learn more and understand each other better. What I was missing was self-confidence. And now that I've got just a bit of that back, you can start to see threads of truth unravel. Recognizing behaviors. The way people will try to manipulate us. Smiling at us. This whole facade of friendly interaction, dialogues amongst adversaries, ideological adversaries. The fact that I continue to engage with people whose ideas I not only disagree with, but oftentimes find abhorrent and unacceptable. With the hope that these conversations will actually make a difference in this war of ideas that we are engaged in. That's a farce. For the most part. This is something I enjoy doing. It is something I think that's important. It's a way to kill time and stay out of my own head. To check my own arguments, the reasons behind the things that inform my beliefs. So, from this point forward, I'm afraid to say I have to change tactics. I wanted to try to be easier going, more approachable, more open to discourse with as many people as possible, but the fact is, at this stage of the game, there's only one way to proceed. So from now on, you're going to start seeing a very different side of me. If you found me easy to deal with, that's not going to happen anymore. I intend to become a very, very difficult person to deal with. I intend to call manipulators out as I see them. Not just calling out their bullshit on the ideological level, but interpersonally. Don't fucking come here and shine me on. Do you think I don't notice? Do you hear my tone of voice? Alright. So now that we got that out of the way, Got a few things to say about this video I was watching earlier. Just gonna play the audio from it, from Pocket Locker 86's channel. And I think it's the most recent video, 10 hours ago, is Sam Harris becoming a Nazi apologist. Also, new atheism is over. So this is Pocket Locker reviewing a Majority Report broadcast reviewing a Sam Harris dialogue with, I don't know who the other guy is. I actually haven't listened to the original of this, and I don't have to because my commentary is on the commentary on the commentary. So we're doing how many commentaries is that? Doesn't fucking matter. But for the sake of trying to maintain, yeah, I'm not gonna play the video here. You can go find it yourself. It's on Pocket Locker's channel. That's fine. But yeah, I'm just going to do it this way for tonight, because I had a few things to say about this. I might turn the speed up to about... Let's start at 1.5, and if it's too fast, I'll dial it back. I have a limited time here, so I will get through as much of this as I can. But I think the important part of this message has already been conveyed. If you come here in attempts to manipulate me, if you see me as an easy target, I just want to let you know you have another thing coming, and the change starts today. And if you try it again, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. And you're not gonna like it, okay? I'm not gonna fucking mince words with you, and say that I'm going to be, you know, Mr. Friendly anymore. It's no more Mr. Nice Ape. We're done with that bullshit. It's got no place here. Alright, we'll proceed with this video. Hope I've made myself clear.
Right now, so let's go ahead and get into it.
I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I like that kind of.
Alright, let's go.
Sam Harris is one of those guys that was apparently this high-minded intellectual that's definitely not a conservative. It's something different. The intellectual dark web. Just kidding. The reality of Sam Harris was that he was one of these new atheists who Bill Maher would have on all the time, who spoke about how religion was very dangerous, and
Islam.
in the end, you look at the analysis, and much of it was about how really it's...
Did Bill Maher have Sam on? I never saw a single interaction between the two of them that I can recall. And I'm a big fan of both, so...
these Muslim savages in the Middle East that are the threat to polite Western society, and not other religions, just the ones that we can associate with the war on terror, basically. And it doesn't need to be an analysis about U.S. colonialism or Western...
Alright, let's pause it. Let's think about this, Frank.
So, already there's a fundamental misunderstanding here going on with, you know, and, you know, I do appreciate the Majority Report when they have valid commentary, but, no, if you've ever listened to Sam Harris at length, he doesn't say that Muslims are savages. He says that Islam is a violent religion, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Here, too. Because you said something off the top that I actually find really interesting, which is this idea that Sam Harris is one of these new atheists. And again, for those of y'all that don't know what that term means, it's sort of...
The term new atheism is bullshit, always was, always has been. I think that the dudes who get called new atheists were like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means, and people just kept rolling with it, right? Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
refers to this idea of, like, the internet.
It refers to the fact that these guys got really popular. They had a flash in the pan. They had the Four Horsemen, right? It's not endorsed by the people who are being referred to under that fucking label, right? That's not, they don't call themselves new atheists. That's like a fucking media hype.
Bread, like debate, Christianity, angry atheist movement.
Nope, that's different. That's different. Vocal and outspoken atheist versus like the Matt Dillahunty type. Matt Dillahunty got branded angry atheist because that's what he does. He reacts in a, a way that, he is fucking angry. He's admitted he's fucking angry. And he's since, especially since leaving AXP, he's dialed that back, right? He was really angry for a long time. I think Matt Dillahunty would be the first person to say that, right? So angry atheist and new atheist and vocal outspoken atheist, these are just labels put on us by other people for fucking hype and clickbait, and it doesn't mean anything. Nobody labels themselves this way.
And particularly refers usually to the influence of Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, and Daniel Dennett, sometimes referred to.
So now you're just talking about the Four Horsemen in particular, which like really is one conversation. You're talking about one conversation between four dudes that happened how many fucking years ago? And people are still like, this is new atheism. I'm like, have you seen the fucking content out there? You seen what new atheism is? What?
As the Four Horsemen. And to a lesser extent, Ayaan Hirsi Ali is also in that group. And you know what? She's right in here with them and totally on brand for.
Yeah, Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Yeah, just bring her into it. Former Muslim, now vocal activist who's, okay.
What we're talking about today anyway, because she's had the same shit. But it's very interesting to think of sort of this framing of, and these are these guys that used to go on Bill Maher a lot or appear with Bill Maher. And it's kind of funny too because Bill Maher, in a way...
It's kind of funny because everybody's focused on Bill Maher. Bill Maher's become like essentially irrelevant. Like as far as I can tell, I mean... I saw what Religulous came out when I was a fucking teenager. It was like the last big thing he did. And then it, like, as far as I know, he just kind of like fizzled out. Like maybe he still does shit, but it's not nearly as popular as it once was, as far as I could tell.
His name, like in these internet spaces, isn't brought up as much as the Four Horsemen.
Right, because he's not relevant. He's not as relevant.
Sense represents that new atheist thing too. While they wrote the books and did the debates, he of course made that movie Religulous.
Yeah.
And think about how we see Bill Maher now, right?
This is shit that happened 20 years ago. 20 fucking years ago. I was in high school.
He plays this sort of weird back and forth kind of enlightened centrist thing on HBO. And we certainly know that he's an atheist, but he's also doing the right-wing grift on his own platform, which would be his podcast.
Okay, now Pocket Locker is repeatedly going to accuse anybody and their mother that he disagrees with. They're all right-wing. They're all conservative. Yeah, we'll get back into that. But just know, anybody, right? And Pocket Locker left the left. Pocket Locker is no longer on the left, right? So I don't know where Pocket Locker is. Definitely not in the center, because according to Pocket Locker, the center is the right. The left is also apparently the right. The left is the right, the center is the right, and the right is the right. So I'm not sure in what direction Pocket Locker points at this point. What word jumbled salad just mixed up in your brain?
And he's had all the problematic people on, and it's become very clear that he, in his own way, is kind of this anti-woke.
Yeah, right. Wokeness. So now anything opposed to wokeness or even critical of wokeness, now we're talking about woke culture. I don't even know what being woke means. Being woke means different things to different people at different times. It doesn't even have a fucking consistent thing. Like, at least the new atheists, you have some coherence there. In wokeness, there ain't none. Wokeness is just like, any fringe ideology that pops out, we better fucking legitimize that. Just legitimize whatever, right? And I'm not, I'm for trans healthcare. I'm for trans rights. I'm for LGBTQ rights in general, right? And I would still say there's a fringe. There's a it's big enough that it's almost not even a fringe. It's like a legitimate minority of people who are just as fucking insane on the extreme left as on the extreme right, which is why we try to bring people back to center where there is sanity.
I know he wouldn't call himself a conservative, but literally, I think most of us now consider him like a conservative grifter.
I don't know who most of us are. Who are you speaking for? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You know, if he's not a genuine conservative in terms of, you know, his
Now,
politics.
Pocket Locker, like, seems to claim to speak for, all, I don't know, true left woke atheist or something like that. He talks a lot about our community, our spaces, we this, we that, as if Pocket Locker represents a majority of whom? Not what? I don't know. I don't know who Pocket Locker claims to represent. I don't claim to represent, anybody but myself. Maybe a few people whose ideas I am familiar with enough to actually, try to reiterate them intelligently. But yeah, okay. Like, you just claim to speak for whoever. I speak for a group of people who, who are you representing?
May not quite fit into that, might not quite align with them. His sort of social politics certainly do. And that is the same shift that we saw with Christopher Hitchens before he died. And so Christopher Hitchens, before he passed, made a turn for the right and started defending the war in Iraq and had a bunch of problematic takes, right? Ayaan Hirsi Ali.
Isn't defending the war in Iraq? Oh my god. Such a misrepresentation. Saddam was a brutal fucking dictator. Now, sure, the way we went in, not legit. Blame us for that. Blame U.S. politics for that, right? But the fact that Hitch just said, hey, you know what? That dude needed to get taken out one way or another. Yeah, not wrong.
The only woman who even gets close to being identified with that movement, who many people felt for, given that she was directly herself a victim of extreme threats and violence due to her speaking out against her Islamic faith. She basically came out, and we covered it on this channel if you want to check it out, where she said that she identifies as a Christian now. And nowhere in her identifying as a Christian
I've never heard that, but I haven't heard about Ayaan in a while.
We'll come again to judge the living and the dead and grant her eternal life, or any of that shit, or her personal relationship, none of that. It was literally like, being the Christians and I agree about the threat of Islam, Christians and I agree about anti-woke, Christians and I agree about...
Okay, at this point, I'm just going to come out and say, having no knowledge of the actual content of what Pocket Locker's talking about, Pocket Locker's probably misrepresenting Ayaan Hirsi Ali like he does everybody else when he does these fucking commentaries. Not only, this is the thing, you're not only getting the arguments wrong, right? If you had like a legitimate criticism against the actual argument, that would be one thing. But when you're essentially putting words in people's mouths, you're trying to paraphrase things that are not identical to the things that were said. Like the statement earlier when, what's-her-face, he said that Sam Harris calls Muslims savages, right? Which is now he says that Islam is a violent religion, right? Look again. No, you are misusing words. You are creating your own meta message that does not exist if you speak the English language.
With the culture war, so I'm just going to identify as a Christian. Forget the fact that I'm literally a famous atheist. So she turned, right? Y'all see the point I'm trying to make? They're all done, okay? Daniel Dennett is the only one who, as far as I'm aware, in chat, hook me up if y'all know something different, but he's the only one that we're, like, aware of that, like, hasn't come out and just taken a super weird-ass
Notice that, Pocket Locker goes from the only one that I'm aware of to the only one that we're aware of. But please correct me, chat. So I assume Pocket Locker is speaking for themselves and their, 840 subs, 845 subs, right? Apparently, if, all the people in your chat agree with you, then sure, you're representing a community on your own channel, I guess, and your channel is an echo chamber, right? Because presumably, judging by the way that you act towards people, anybody who disagrees with you will probably be promptly banned. I would presume. I don't know. I don't really participate in the side chats too much in this, for exactly that reason. I don't want to sit there and tickle the mod hairs and see what comes out, right? Like, because people will just do things arbitrarily. It's like, and this is the whole premise of this video. This is what made me so upset, and we probably won't get far enough into it to really address the meat of it, but let's try.
Hard conservative turn, at least on social issues, if not going so far as to identify as a Christian or a cultural Christian, right? Richard Dawkins came out and said he's a cultural Christian.
No. A cultural Christian. We unfortunately, as an atheist minority, we live in a culture that is dominated by Christians, is effectively seated in Christian ideology, right? That's why we have to abolish the Constitution. It's why we have to rewrite the Declaration. How many times are we talking about? You know what? It doesn't even matter. I'm not even going to go there because I feel like that would actually be, a pertinent conversation, tangential to whatever fucking bullshit you're going off on here, right? Like, if you want to look for some actual solutions and you don't just want to sit here and play word games and put words in people's mouths, say they said things that they didn't say. Right, yeah. Let me just paraphrase and completely misrepresent what this person actually represents.
So that's my point. Is that we now have to shed
This is worse than the fucking G-Man plus La Pogia shit. Like, this is some Ham Sarah shit, right?
the tinge of these motherfuckers. Like, they have to stop being what people think of when they think of atheism, because they are literally not helping.
What are you talking about? They're the people with platforms. This is what people think of when they think of atheists. Hopefully, when people think of atheism, they understand that it's a. Now let me be very clear, because I am that guy. It's the negation of a claim. It's saying, I don't believe your claim about God. That's what atheism is. Nobody just singularly represents that claim. There are all types of people who disbelieve religious claims, theological claims, for a variety of reasons, and no one of them represents the whole. It's just not a thing. And as long as you entertain that, you're actually empowering the theists who say that.
And they're not representative from my understanding of. And yes, they are atheists. Like, okay,
they're not representing, from my understanding. But yes, they are atheists. Right. You share one particular commonality in the disbelief in a deity. That's it. They don't have to agree with you on anything else. To be an atheist, all you have to do is not believe God. That's it.
To some extent, like I kind of want to stiff arm a few of them, like because like at least she said she's a Christian, so you're gone. I don't think she doesn't seem to be a Christian to me in the sense of like believing the fundamental miraculous claims, but yeah. She certainly said she's a Christian. So I
didn't hear anything about that said that she was a Christian. She said that she was aligned with Christians. That doesn't make you a Christian. You can be aligned with Christians on a number of topics and not be a Christian. That's not the same thing.
Like, take you at your word, and you say you're a Christian, and you're a Christian, so whoop, get off the boat. Dawkins, he said he's a cultural Christian, and like,
So Dennett and Dawkins, or unless you transpose those two back there, because you said the same thing about Dennett a minute ago, right? Cultural Christian is a different thing. It means that you live within a society based around Christian ideology, which is true for us. It's true in a lot of the UK, right? That's how we came to be. Most of those dudes were Christians. The people who weren't, who were agnostic or atheists or whatever, they had to go along with the Christians. They had to appease the Christians, make the system function, right? That was their particular place in history. That was what they had to do.
That's an interesting one, right? But y'all, I'm kicking him off the fucking boat too. First off, I just want to kick him off the boat. Just be clear. I just sometimes I wake up and choose violence.
What? You are not the captain of this fucking ship. I don't know where you get this fucking idea, dude. Like, look, you're cool. I agree with you on a lot of shit. But every time you do this, I'm like, who the fuck does Pocket Locker think they are? Representing the we. I'm the captain of the ship. I'm gonna kick you off the boat. Get the fuck out of here. Egotism. That is egomania. Check yourself.
And most days I'd probably wake up and choose violence and just toss Dawkins' ass off the boat, okay? But I also want to toss him off the boat because obviously he's a bigot and a transphobe, okay? But in being...
Now Dawkins did make some I think transphobic comments. But I think Dawkins also said, yeah, I don't really know that much about it. And then was like, as far as biology, this is what I know. Because Dawkins is a fucking biologist.
a bigot and a transphobe. He literally
I don't...
lies about biology?
Lies? Ah, son of a
Google
bitch.
Fi Wireless has flexible phone plans that keep your
Fucking
family safe.
cocksucking motherfucker. See, it made me so angry I pressed the wrong button. It's all Pocket Locker's fault.
Yeah, I think I like that.
Person versus Justin Timberlake first person in San...
I don't give a fuck about Justin Timberlake.
I know he wouldn't call himself a conservative, but literally I think most of us now consider him like a conservative grifter.
Past that.
Made a turn for the right and started defending the war in Iraq and
Past that.
against her Islamic faith.
Alright, I lost my
And her
spot.
eternal life.
It's
Yeah,
all
shit,
Pocket
her
Locker's
personal
fault. It made me so
relationship
fucking
that
angry.
It was literally like being Christians and only one who
Dennett. More. Right about there.
he said he's a cultural Christian, and like, and that's an interesting one, right? But y'all, I'm kicking him off the fucking boat too. First off,
You're not kicking anybody off the fucking boat. You're not capping a
I
shit.
just sometimes I wake up and choose violence, and most days I probably wake up and choose violence and just toss Dawkins' ass off the boat.
So now you're choosing violence. Right. Yeah. But again, you can kick him off of your little boat, your Pocket Locker channel boat or something. You don't represent atheism. You are not the fucking official spokesperson. Okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to toss him off the boat because obviously he's a bigot and a transphobe. Okay. But in being a bigot and a transphobe, he literally lies about biology, in particular evolutionary biology.
How?
Again, you're a famous evolutionary biologist.
Yeah.
Literally, probably the most famous evolutionary biologist.
True.
And
And in what way is he lying? So you gotta be specific here. You can't just like throw that out there. Oh, he lies about evolution. Lie about what specifically? Because you're not.
just to serve your bigoted, fucking hate-filled position, you are literally willing
And now
to
it's
overlook what we've
bigoted and hate-filled. Citation fucking needed. Qualify your statements, or move the fuck on. I thought you were on with Sam Harris. Now you're bashing Dawkins. You're just all over the place. You're throwing people off of boats with no qualifications. You're just like making blanket statements.
now consider basic science that you could learn in most undergraduate institutions, and
What?
probably a lot of
What are we talking about?
really, forward-thinking and highly qualified high school educators as well. You could probably get this shit, if you're biology.
No, I think that's part of the problem. Obviously, there's, you're one of the very few who has this fucking supposedly, universal knowledge, right? It's like most of science disagrees with you.
Teachers really about that life, you probably could get some of this shit in high school. Matter of fact, the way shit's going now, we all need to be getting this shit in about middle school. And don't worry, you can comprehend it as a middle schooler. Because it's basic science.
What?
So, again, now as a
What is basic science? What is he lying about? Elaborate in some way, but no. No. You will elaborate not at all, I am sure.
biologist and educator, just toss this motherfucker. Why are we even still talking about this?
Why are you
Right?
talking
So
about it?
they all
Like,
get tossed.
honestly, you're giving the dude air. He's not mentioned here, so it's just you bringing it up as an aside. Where you, by the way, we're about to bash all the four horsemen, but let's make sure that we fucking rail off on Dawkins for citation fucking needed. Like, what? In what way is he lying about science, about biology? Very basic things that a high schooler would know.
I'm a big Christopher Hitchens person. Like, Christopher Hitchens really, you know how it's like the Beatles or the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. It's like the boy band.
Yeah,
They're all famous.
sure.
But if you're a fan, and some people don't want to admit that they were ever fans, but I was a fan, you still have your favorites in the band. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's fine, I guess. I mean, yeah, we can, again, they're all atheists with different beliefs, because atheism is not a fucking religion. It's not an ideology in and of itself. It's just not. Like, that's what you expect all atheists to believe the same thing. All atheists only disbelieve the same one claim every time. So you're talking about a different type of community here, sir.
See what I'm saying? And there was healthy conversations back in the day. If you were a JC person versus a Justin Timberlake person, you understand what I'm saying to you?
Don't.
Versus
That's a
Lance person.
shit
Don't
fucking
get it
analogy.
twisted.
What?
Justin fans seem to have won out, generally speaking. I ain't even gonna hold you. But don't act like it wasn't a debate. It was a very serious debate, and there was a very strong Lance contingent.
Was it?
And Lance was a
This is your attempt at humor, I see. So I think just whatever. I'm out at this point. Whenever he starts talking about Sam Harris again, I guess.
Similarly, Hitchens was my guy. The new atheists, when they do their little Beatle albums cover, you know what I'm saying? Hitchens was my guy. But man, I heard the shit this motherfucker was saying before he went, and don't get me wrong, cancer and dealt with it all head on and kept his head about him and still remained a strong communicator. But boy, them shifts in policies and perspective on social issues was, that was painful. It was a dark time. So they're all gone. My point is, none of them represent to me, and this is back to the point about throwing Dawkins off the boat for being a cultural Christian. The real point to me of the urgency of the move towards secularism. Yes, it is fundamentally about what's true. I just literally, I see no apparent reason that a grown person should believe in these supernatural religious claims. I just can't find a good reason. And I see even less reason why a grown-ass person should teach this nonsense to a child. But that isn't really what brings us to the urgency of the moment. What brings us to the urgency of the moment is combating the harmful and destructive influence of the religion in our lives. We are literally in a struggle at minimum to improve our material conditions. And in many, many cases, we are fighting for our lives. That's what it's about. And we see addressing the religious dogma and the adherence to the religious dogma as a very important means to an end. To some of us would debate and argue maybe it's the most important means to our ends, because we believe it's foundational to, again, those movements that we see going on. So we want to strike at the core of what's causing the harm.
No.
We have healthy discussions about whether or not that's the most effective way to go, whether that is in fact the most important basis of it. Again, these are healthy discussions amongst people working together to achieve a common end. But my point is, you cannot be representative of that effort, at least this contingency of the effort, right? Because that's the problem. If you want to tell me some atheists are fucking assholes and some atheists are conservatives, some atheists are fucking pricks, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on, I agree with that.
Exactly.
No debate, we could be done. The problem
That was
is
it.
when
We're
that
done? No.
perspective,
We're not
especially
done.
as inhabited by a very small group, and again, literally setting aside Erin Ali, because that's a new thing, and whether she's really one of them before or not, and most people don't even really know who
If
she
you're
is.
gonna do Ion, just do Ion. Like, And I know because, like, you know, it's like there's this thing between Ion and Sam, and yeah, blah 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 blah. But just really get move on to your point, because right now you're all over the place. This is fucking rambling. You're rambling about how, oh yeah, well, atheists can have different perspectives, and, you know, I agree, you know, atheists can be assholes, and they can be conservatives, and that's fine. We can just end the debate there. Except I'm not ending the debate there, because I'm over here trying to call certain people out and saying that, you know, we need to throw them off the boat. You know, I don't know what boat you're fucking talking about. The boat of disbelief. There's this.
compared to the more established figures. And again, who are they? All white men, and that's the problem.
That's the problem.
It's part of the problem. Is that ends up they literally can't embody the diversity of perspectives that we have. And
I mean, oh my goodness, and they're not meant to. They're not meant to embody the diversity of perspectives that all atheists hold, or like that's nonsense. You have an unreasonable expectation of something, of what should have happened, right? Because you're talking about essentially past events, right? Like the whole Four Horsemen phenomena and all that shit, and this new atheism, all bullshit, all branding. It's marketing. It's fucking marketing, and it's not real. You need to get over it.
certainly, it's very problematic, and because so many of us are primarily concerned with counteracting the social and political harms caused by the movement, and these people.
Social and political harms caused by a what movement? Because you said caused by the movement?
Side with, enhance, vitalize, and legitimize the things we're struggling against. And that's the issue. And that's why I just think
we're not all struggling. The only thing we are all struggling against is religion, is organized religion. Theism. We are atheist. What is that? Not theist. It has no other implication. Any other thing you're introducing in there is a claim on top of the claim. You are introducing new things that are not present. They're just not there.
done. And yeah, we're just revisiting this recent news about Sam Harris and what the fuck he's been saying. Trust me, you will be disgusted.
I highly doubt it. I'm far more disgusted by the commentary from you and the folks on the Majority Report panel by far. And, you know, we'll get into that.
To be honest, this isn't the first. I've kind of been done with Sam Harris for a while. Again, he's
I know, you've been done with him for a while, that you listened to this story on him, and it just got you so fired up that you had to start dropping his name again. I wonder if we could count how many times you name drop in the stream. I mean, it's in the stream title, so I'm just waiting for you to get on to the actual dude.
Problematic on a bunch of issues as well, but
problematic on a bunch of issues. Well, we'll not be specific about it. All we're gonna do is just,
interference in the region, and exploitation, and oil, and war. It can just be about the inherent debauchery, the inherent evil of of Islam and of the Muslim faith. And so he's been kind of a Trump critic recently. Speaking of that IDW split, he's been criticizing Trump, getting some cachet back with liberals. But this was from his podcast episode recently, a reminder that Sam Harris, despite not liking Trump, is still one of the most hateful Islamophobic bigots in media right now.
Oh my goodness. And I'm so disappointed in, I can't remember her name. Doesn't matter. I shouldn't be that disappointed. I'm not that invested, but I was just like, I usually enjoy her so much, but just to say that, you don't understand. You don't understand the arguments.
The overwhelming majority of people who are this confused about how to live good lives are Islamic extremists, and the worst of these are jihadists. Now, Hamas is a jihadist organization. In my view, that's all we need to know about it. The question of how it got that way is fundamentally uninteresting, as is the question of why so many Palestinians have come to support it.
This is why
What kills me is that Locker says pause that. Like he's talking to like a production team, but it's just him hitting the pause button. I mean, maybe I should do that every time I do this in the stream too. It's just, I don't know. Jesus. All right, this is This one's. I was yelling at this stream while I was driving home earlier, honestly. So it could get bad. I don't know if we're gonna get that deep.
I was like, oh shit, she said pause, let me pause.
Oh, okay. I just want to take this piecemeal.
Me too, but I'm gonna let
Why is it uninteresting to you to talk about the origins of Hamas, Sam Harris? Because it would undercut everything you're saying?
Yeah, because the context actually tells you everything you need to know. Why does the colonial resistance group form? Why does it
Okay, they're talking a little bit faster. I'm gonna turn it back to 1.25. It should be all right, so we can. I mean, my ADHD brain can probably handle it, but I don't want to miss the finer points here. The finer points of these terrible arguments.
terrorism? Like, these things are all actually have been studied even beyond the Israel-Palestine experience.
It's just also just a very anti-materialistic, obviously, and it's the kind of thing that I think will appeal to, like, you know, very middle ground thinkers who presume themselves to be very intelligent, that they would think, oh, of course, because Islam is something different. It's something that exists outside of, like, traditional, historical, and material, you know, cause and effect. It's something that just, like, makes your brain rot out. But, like, that's completely ridiculous, obviously, and he would not accept that kind of, you know, and I think to let your earlier point about, like, the distinctions that they make between Islam and other, even Abrahamic religions, like, they would never cast Christians who probably exist in their communities in that same, with that same light. They would say, like, it doesn't matter.
Right, and they've done this before, by the way. It's kind of an evolution from just traditional racism, where you saw it, honestly, in the way that black people were talked about in this country, where it's like, well, I mean, where are the fathers? What's wrong with the values that they're teaching? And it's just kind of a way to be like...
That's not at all what he said. I mean, all he said, and I've listened to this guy talk extensively for fucking years, and he says that clearly the way the culture has manifested itself, right, the values inherent within that system make it so that even people who aren't jihadists, the vast majority of them still sympathize with jihadists, right? It's in their fucking religion. It's like when the Crusades were happening. I mean, you could make the parallels to Christianity. That's just not happening in Christian culture today. But it has. And it's what is happening in Islam in our lifetimes. You know, I mean, there's nothing racist about it.